The O.J. Simpson murder case is one of the most infamous trials in American history. In June 1994, Nicole Brown Simpson, the ex-wife of former NFL star O.J. Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman were found brutally murdered outside of Nicole's home in Brentwood, California. The case would go on to dominate headlines for more than a year, culminating in a dramatic trial that captivated the nation. In this video, we'll explore the details of the case, from the initial crime scene to the verdict, and examine the many twists and turns that made this one of the most talked-about trials of all time. Background. To understand the O.J. Simpson murder case, it's important to know a little bit about the key players involved. O.J. Simpson was a former NFL star and popular television personality. He had been married to Nicole Brown Simpson for 7 years before their highly publicized divorce in 1992. Despite their separation, the two remained in contact and even had a cordial relationship. Ron Goldman was a 25-year-old waiter who had recently moved to Los Angeles from Illinois. He was a friend of Nicole's and had been returning a pair of sunglasses that she had left at the restaurant where he worked. On the night of June 12, 1994, Ron went with Nicole to her Brentwood condo to drop off the glasses. The crime. The events of that night remain the subject of much speculation and controversy. What we do know is that at around 10:15 p.m., Nicole and Ron were attacked outside of Nicole's home. They were both brutally stabbed to death, with Nicole suffering multiple wounds to her neck and Ron being stabbed more than 20 times. The attack was so brutal that it left the victims almost unrecognizable. Within hours of the discovery of the bodies, O.J. Simpson became the prime suspect in the case. He had a history of domestic violence, and there had been reports of previous altercations between him and Nicole. Additionally, a trail of blood led from the crime scene to O.J.'s home, and a bloody glove was found on his property. The investigation.
All right, the record should reflect now that the defendant is present with counsel. You may be seated if you wish. And would counsel state their appearances for the record? All right, there are a number of matters on calendar today. I think one matter that can be resolved in fairly short order, and that relates to the hair sample.
Has to be taken from each area of the suspect's head, and that means that a minimum of 5 to 10 hairs from each area, which usually amounts to about 100 hairs. Any scientist, no matter how inexperienced, is aware of that fact. You cannot do an effective comparison between a known standard and an evidence standard without that size of sample.
Criminology in Connecticut, he tells us 1 to 3 hairs are sufficient. I think perhaps this may be an appropriate matter for the court to have a hearing on. I think 100 hairs is unduly invasive. Makes the inventorying of the hairs a very, very difficult.
The trial. The trial began on January 24, 1995, and quickly became a sensation. It was broadcast live on television, and millions of viewers tuned in to watch the proceedings. The trial lasted for nearly 9 months, and it was characterized by dramatic testimony, heated arguments between the prosecution and defense teams, and a number of unexpected twists and turns. The prosecution argued that O.J. Simpson had a motive for the murders, jealousy over Nicole's romantic relationships, and that the evidence against him was overwhelming. They pointed to the trail of blood from the crime scene to O.J.'s home, the bloody glove found on his property, and the fact that he had no alibi for the night of the murders. The defense, on the other hand, argued that O.J. was innocent and that the LAPD had mishandled the evidence in an attempt to frame him. They also pointed to the fact that the bloody glove found on O.J.'s property did not fit his hand, and that DNA evidence was inconclusive. Perhaps the most notable moment of the trial was the infamous glove demonstration. During the trial, the prosecution presented a leather glove that had been found at the crime scene, as well as a matching glove that was found on O.J.'s property. However, when O.J. was asked to try on the gloves in court, they appeared to be too small for his hands. O.J.'s defense team famously argued, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." This moment became a defining moment of the trial, and it ultimately led to O.J.'s acquittal. The verdict. After more than 9 months of testimony and argument, The jury reached a verdict on October 3, 1995. The verdict was broadcast live on television, and millions of viewers tuned in to hear the decision. The O.J. Simpson murder case was a highly publicized criminal trial that took place in Los Angeles, California, in 1995. Simpson, a former NFL football player and actor, was charged with the murders of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman. The trial was widely regarded as one of the most controversial and highly publicized trials in American history. On October 3, 1995, after a trial that lasted more than 8 months, the jury reached a verdict. The jury found O.J. Simpson not guilty of the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. The verdict was a shock to many, as the evidence against Simpson appeared to be strong. The verdict sparked widespread controversy and debate, with many questioning the fairness of the trial and the verdict. Despite being acquitted of the murders, Simpson's reputation and public image were greatly tarnished by the trial. Many people continue to believe that he was responsible for the deaths of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman, and the case remains one of the most well-known and divisive criminal trials in American history. Aftermath. The aftermath of the O.J. Simpson trial was just as controversial as the trial itself. Many people felt that the verdict was a miscarriage of justice and that O.J. had been given preferential treatment because of his celebrity status. Others felt that the LAPD had mishandled the investigation and that the evidence against O.J. was not strong enough to convict him. O.J. Simpson himself remained in the public eye after the trial. He was sued in a civil trial by the families of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman and was found liable for their deaths. He was ordered to pay millions of dollars in damages, and many of his assets were seized. In 2007, O.J. was arrested for armed robbery and kidnapping in Las Vegas. He was convicted and sentenced to 33 years in prison, although he was released in 2017 after serving 9 years. Conclusion. The O.J. Simpson murder case was a landmark moment in American history that captured the attention of the nation and the world. The trial was marked by intense media scrutiny, high-profile personalities, and a number of twists and turns that kept people on the edge of their seats. Despite the controversial verdict, the trial had a lasting impact on American culture, shining a light on issues of race, celebrity, and the criminal justice system. As we continue to grapple with these issues today, the legacy of the O.J. Simpson murder case remains a reminder of the importance of fairness, impartiality, and justice in our society. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more amazing and thrilling videos. We will see you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.